Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way. Tonight, your news at 9, a chance for you to make a difference in the lives of many four-staters. Our Feed the Four States telethon is tonight. Plus, how a Joplin dry ice manufacturer is responding to increased demand from hospitals. And a stem cell transplant for a Joplin woman dealing with cancer. Doug Keddy is weather tonight. Jacob Leonard heads sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The Four States' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us. Our annual Feed the Four States campaign is underway, and tonight a unique opportunity for you to donate money for food for area food banks. Volunteers right there are ready to take your calls right now. Please have your debit or credit card handy and call 1-888-620-4869. We're going to keep that number at the bottom of your screen. You can make that call anytime during this newscast tonight. Again, your money will be used to buy food for local food banks, and these donations are especially important during this pandemic. We'll check back in our Feed the Four States call center in a few minutes, but first, some of the day's news. Joplin City Council received an update on COVID-19 vaccine distribution from the Joplin Health Department. We are currently in Phase 1A, where healthcare providers are receiving the vaccine. That's currently happening at Mercy Hospital, where they received Pfizer vaccines last week. Long-term care facilities are going to start receiving vaccines soon, with most in Joplin getting them from CVS, also Walgreens. CVS says they will start vaccinating in their state on December 28th. After that, in Phase 1B is when essential workers will be vaccinated, during which the Joplin Health Department will play a much larger role.
I know the health department here in town has been making phone calls to various agencies and organizations in the community to find out if they've either made arrangements to get the vaccine through some other means. If they haven't, do they need us to assist them?
The health department will also play a large role in vaccinating the general population once the vaccine is more widely available. Pekarik explains the health department is looking into adding additional staff members to make that happen if additional funding is made available. Well, dry ice has taken on new importance as a key ingredient to the safe transportation and storage of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. Pfizer's vaccine must be stored at -70 degrees Celsius to remain viable. That's about 100 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. KOAM's Kay Kelly shares how dry ice manufacturers are doing their part to help keep things cool.
CK Supply is the only dry ice manufacturer in the state of Missouri. It has 3 locations, which are Kansas City, St. Louis, and Joplin. Lately, this company has been getting extra attention.
We've been getting some calls from some hospitals, some local hospitals in the Joplin area. We've also been getting some calls from the health departments, and since we're kind of the only dry ice manufacturer in the area, a lot of them have found us.
Most of CK's ice is used for food packaging, but because Pfizer's vaccine must be stored in extremely cold temperatures in order to protect the stability of the messenger RNA, there's more interest coming from the medical community.
From a waste standpoint, we want to always have redundancy in storage to make sure that we would be able to manage ourselves through an issue with cold storage.
Moderna's vaccine is a bit more flexible.
So Moderna vaccine does have different storage requirements than the Pfizer vaccine. So it does not require that ultra cold storage. So it will be stored in the freezer, and then it also has stability in the refrigerator. So it will be a very nice option for our retail pharmacies and long-term care facilities for sure.
During the summer, falling gas prices impacted the availability of liquid CO2. This led to a dry ice shortage as manufacturers struggled to get carbon dioxide, a byproduct of ethanol. But now things are back on track.
Some of those ethanol plants started curtailing their production a little bit, which caused a shortage of CO2, but you know, we've kind of gotten past that. This time of year, there's typically a slight decline in demand for dry ice, so we don't really anticipate that there's going to be an issue with helping supply some of the dry ice for the vaccine.
In Joplin, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
Mercy is equipped with an ultra-cold 25 cubic foot freezer that has the capability to maintain thousands of doses of the Pfizer vaccine. So far, more than 500 Mercy employees have been vaccinated. The Jasper County Health Department is reporting 5 more COVID-19 related deaths. Officials say the patients were a man in his 50s, 2 women in their 60s, a woman in her 70s, and a woman in her 80s. This brings Jasper County's total death toll to 97. Well, this is the 17th year for Fox 14's Feed the Four States. It was started to help meet the increased need of food during the holiday season and to restock the shelves we see right there at food banks after the holidays. Rodney Rambo with Crosslines Ministries in Joplin says, well, the need for food is always around. COVID-19 has complicated many things. A couple of weeks ago, Crosslines served a record number of people, the most in its 35-year history.
You have to choose, do I put gas in the car or do I go, we get groceries this week? Do I pay that electric bill or do I take that money to go buy the food that we need? And so Crosslines exists to step in the gap and help people who are faced with those difficult choices.
Now, each dollar given to Feed the Four States provides up to 4 meals for a family in need. Donations made tonight will be directed back to the pantries in the county where the donation was from. Once again, please take the time to make a lasting impact with many of these families. Volunteers are ready, as you see right there, to take your calls right now. Have your debit or credit card handy and call 1-888-620-4869. You can make that call anytime during tonight's newscast. These donations are especially important during this year's pandemic. Every donation helps, big or small. Doug Hetty joining us now with our first look at the forecast. Pretty good night to go out and stargaze, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you checked out the Christmas star, which you can see. It's dropping on the horizon. It was better a couple hours ago, but I'll actually show a picture of that. But a great day today, 60 for a high. We started at 41. Average high is 46 degrees. And we've had pretty much clear skies. A few little clouds have been out there at least over the past couple hours. But in general, we're going to have mostly clear skies for us tonight and then into tomorrow. And then our next storm system will start to affect us. But the winds are fairly light. We got kind of a light southwesterly wind. Temperatures dropping back. Most of us still hanging on into lower 40s. Eventually, we'll drop back to about 37 later on tonight. Another great day tomorrow, 66. Of course, we're going to look at that and what's coming down the road here in just a bit.
Doug, thanks as always. A Delaware County, Oklahoma man gets a prison sentence after pleading guilty to charges related to a deadly hit and run. James Winningham was arrested in 2017 after hitting 2 people with his car in a parking lot. One of those victims, 44-year-old Bobby Schaefer Jr., died in that parking lot. The judge sentenced Winningham to 20 years in prison on a manslaughter charge. 10 of those years are suspended. Winningham got 10 years on charges of assault and battery and leaving the scene of an accident that resulted in injury, and 2 years for leaving the scene of an accident that resulted in death. Those sentences will run at the same time. A Joplin woman helped a hospital in St. Louis reach a milestone by undergoing a procedure that saved her life. KOAM's Chris Warner has more.
In 2007, Jan Johnston was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. She underwent chemotherapy and radiation treatments and also received a stem cell transplant.
In the beginning of this year, 2020, it came back.
So she went to SSM St. Louis University Hospital for treatment.
She underwent many months of intensive treatment, both with chemo and radiation, to try to get the cancer back into a remission, which did.
Once the cancer was in remission again, she was able to receive another stem cell transplant. What makes this situation unique is she is the 101st person to receive a transplant this year, which is a milestone for the hospital.
Our program historically was, very small volume. We had done 20 or so transplants a year. And over the last basically 7 or so years, we've had steady about 10 to 20% gains in our number of transplants that we've done.
Dr. Fessler says he feels with COVID this year, the patients they treat are more susceptible to infections and other complications, making the procedure more valuable. In case of complications, you've got to live within 45 minutes distance of the hospital. Jan doesn't live that close, so she's got a long road ahead of her for recovery.
So I'll have to stay up here for 100 days. So I won't be home till about middle of March or so, probably.
Despite that long stay, she says she's celebrating what she calls her second birthday. I'm Chris Warner for KOAM News.
Dr. Fessler says it's important for Jan to stay close to the hospital in St. Louis just in case the stem cells attack her body. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor one of our 4-state heroes. Eric Jackson has been in the U.S. Army ever since 2006. And we are proud to thank Specialist Eric Jackson, a native of Caney, Kansas, He is tonight's four-state hero. Doug Heddy's up next with a complete look at the forecast, but first, if you haven't done so already, please pick up the phone and call 1-888-620-4869 to make a donation for this year's Feed the Four States.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a fantastic Monday for us today. Plenty of sunshine across the region. Temperatures great, right around 60 degrees. We have clear skies. We've had clear skies most of the day. Looks pretty good. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course. Indigo Sky is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, if you haven't noticed, at least over the past 3 or 4 weeks, Jupiter and Saturn have been getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And then from our eyesight, they almost line up together tonight. And that's why it's called the Christmas star. Always happens right before Christmas. But the planets line up like this has not happened in hundreds of years. So it's pretty cool. But even on this picture, you can see Saturn's on the right. And then you got Jupiter on the left. And if you look really closely, you can even see a few of the moons, which are rotating around Jupiter. So pretty cool sight. The best viewing of that was right after sunset, but still, you can catch it outside. 39 in Fort Scott, 41 Oswego, 46 in Neosho, 46 in Carthage. Temperatures are still pretty good. We're going to be cool tonight as we drop back into the upper 30s, but the winds will start to pick up out of the south later on tonight. Really increase for us tomorrow, but that's going to help our temperatures warm up even more. 45 at the airport, winds pretty much calm. Humidity is at 58%. We have pretty much clear skies. Not too much is going on really across the entire Central Plains. Our next storm system building out across the Pacific Northwest, and this will start to affect us by the time we head into late tomorrow night and then also Wednesday morning. You can see it pulling into the Pacific Northwest. It's a fast-moving weak system, but it should give us a few showers. Tonight looks good. We'll drop back mid-30s. If you are getting up early, it's going to be cold, 37 degrees, but those southerly winds increase through the day. South winds 15 to 25, gusts a little bit higher than that. 60 by noon, high temp right around 66 during the afternoon. So it looks pretty good for Tuesday. Then we start to see some changes. Clouds thicken tomorrow night. Very late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, we'll start to see a few light showers really getting going. The best chance to get any rain is going to be on the Missouri side and then along and south of Interstate 44. These showers quickly roll through with a cold front, and then behind it, our temperatures will drop from the 50s into the 40s the rest of the day, and then we're going to actually cool down quite a bit from that point on. We'll clear out, so by Thursday morning, we'll be into the mid-20s, and then Thursday afternoon, which of course is Christmas Eve, we're only going to top out right around 37 degrees. 66 tomorrow, 53 on a Wednesday, and then we have Christmas Eve, which is going to be 37 degrees, down to 18 by Christmas morning. So not a white Christmas, but it will be a cold
Christmas. You know, things that bring us together, make us happy, and for many of us tonight, the stars brought us together. We're happy, right, Doug?
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Thanks so much. We'll catch you in a little bit. Coming up, the latest on negotiations in Congress on another coronavirus relief bill. And please don't forget about hunger in this four-state area, a bigger problem for many individuals and families because of this pandemic. Please call 1-888-620-4869 to make a donation for this year's Feed the Four States. Big or small, every donation helps. The U.S. House has approved a nearly $1 trillion relief bill aimed at supporting struggling Americans during the pandemic. Both Republicans and Democrats say the bill isn't perfect, but it's going to help those impacted financially by the virus. Fox News correspondent Jillian Turner reports now from Washington.
After months of negotiations, congressional leaders have finally come to an agreement on a COVID-19 relief bill.
It's not as large as Democrats want. It's certainly larger than what many Republicans want. That's the nature of compromise.
The measure includes over $300 billion for small business relief, an extension of federal unemployment benefits, and a second $600 stimulus check for those Americans earning less than $75,000 a year.
No unconstrained bailouts for state and local government with no connection to COVID needs, just smart, targeted, bipartisan policies.
The issue of funding for state and local governments hampered talks as well as liability protections for businesses reopening during the pandemic. Both those items were ultimately dropped from this version of the bill.
This deal is not everything I want, not by a long shot. But the choice before us is simple. It's about whether we help families or not. It's about whether we help small businesses and restaurants or not.
Still, there is criticism about the bill from many, including the Independent Restaurant Coalition. With more state officials placing restrictions on indoor dining, many fear the economic crisis will continue to get worse.
They're 6-7 months behind in rent, 6-7 months behind in insurance liability, utilities in many cases. They need dollars to dig out and apply to those uses, and this plan doesn't provide that.
President-elect Joe Biden has voiced his support for this relief package. He also says he plans to actively pursue an even larger relief bill once he takes office. In Washington, Jillian Turner, Fox News.
The bill now moves on to the Senate. If it passes there, it will head to the president's desk. Just ahead, last-minute shopping and travel. Going to look at some new restrictions meant to keep foot traffic down. Also, our Feed the Four States volunteers standing by. Your financial donation will help buy food for area food banks. Please call 1-888-620-4869. Heads up here, check your freezer for lean cuisine. Nestle is recalling 100,000 pounds of frozen meals because some packages may be contaminated with small bits of hard white plastic. The recall is for the baked chicken meals, specifically the white meat chicken with stuffing, red skin mashed potatoes, and gravy, with a best before date of October 2021. No injuries have been reported. As coronavirus cases continue to climb, millions of folks across the country continue their holiday shopping and travel. Fox News correspondent Ashley Strohmeyer has more on the conditions inside busy shopping centers and the new measures some local governments are taking to try and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
We're doing some last-minute shopping for some family and friends.
With just a few days until Christmas, millions of people are still trying to secure last-minute gifts before the holiday.
A lot of people, there's no social distancing.
But even in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, shopping centers across the country were packed this weekend.
It's super crowded. It's worse than Black Friday, I think.
Even before COVID, I've never seen them all this crowded before.
Some retailers like Apple are trying to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. The tech giant announcing it's closing all 53 of its stores in California, as well as shuttering several other locations in Tennessee, Utah, Minnesota, and more. Company officials cite rising coronavirus cases in these areas as the reason for the temporary shutdowns. And airports were just as busy as the stores. The Transportation Security Administration screened more than 2 million travelers on Friday and Saturday. Local officials in California's San Francisco and Santa Clara counties are enacting a mandatory 10-day quarantine. It's for anyone traveling outside select neighboring counties, and opinions are mixed.
This is yet another sacrifice in almost 10 months into this pandemic.
As soon as I come back home, I have to go to work.
Fair to say you are not going to quarantine when you come back next week?
Honestly, I have to say no.
Health officials are urging everyone not to travel this holiday, warning it could cause the case numbers and the death toll to skyrocket heading into the new year. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Seems saying the words thank you in the same sentence as 2020 has so much more meaning and more important to say even. Going to hear about a thank you to a delivery driver when we come back. A UPS driver in Virginia was met with signs and applause on his route last week. Take a look at this. The folks in Helsley, a suburb of Richmond, wanted to say thank you to Anthony Gaskin for all his hard work during the pandemic and for always having a smile and positive attitude, because that makes a difference too, right? So they lined the street and cheered him on as he drove through. Isn't that awesome? Some people in the neighborhoods even gave speeches about his impact on the community and gave him a gift basket. Yeah, you know, we've thanked medical workers more than deserving of all the thank yous, and certainly the delivery drivers as well, more than deserving of the sincere appreciation. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Oklahoma is moving teachers up in the COVID-19 vaccine priority list. We're going to hear from the State Commissioner of Health. Plus, how a partnership between Joplin's Area Agency on Aging and the Economic Security Corporation will help more seniors get hot meals. Plus, Our Feed the Four States telethon continues. Please help out in any way you can. Once again, it's time to call in your pledge to the Fox 14 Feed the Four States. Volunteers are manning the phones right now, so grab your debit or credit card and please call 1-888-620-4869. Every dollar you give will pay for food banks in the area. Thanks everyone who has donated so far. And if you haven't donated, please pick up that phone. State of Oklahoma provides an update on how and when teachers are going to get COVID-19 vaccines. On Thursday, Oklahoma Governor Stitt announced that teachers are going to be given access to the vaccine sooner than expected. Friday, we learned that includes pre-K teachers and support staff like bus drivers and janitors. That's at the same time as first responders, healthcare workers, and vulnerable residents. For teachers in rural areas, there's a few different ways they're going to be able to get the vaccine.
Somebody could get it from their primary care physician in that way. They could also work with the local health departments. In some areas, it may make sense for a local health department to host a special clinic, or in some cases, it could work to where the health department staff could set up a strike team and send a group of nurses into a district setting or something like that.
The Department of Health hopes that process will begin in January. Joplin City Council met today. One of the topics on the agenda, the 32nd Street Place Community Improvement District. Council passed a petition to remove property owned by Woodsonia Joplin LLC out of the district. Council also approved the Joplin Convention and Visitors Bureau paying 7 organizations a combined total of $71,000 for future events. City manager was also granted a 5% pay raise. And Council approved $94,000 in funding to widen Connecticut Avenue from 32nd Street to I-44.
We have a 4-lane bridge with 2 lanes on the north side and 4 lanes on the south side. And yes, we are aware of that. And so it's very important that we match up the 2 streets.
The project to widen Connecticut Avenue was approved by voters back in 2014. Several more senior citizens will get nice hot meals thanks to a partnership between Joplin's Area Agency on Aging and the Economic Security Corporation. There's been a waiting list now for home-delivered meals, but thanks to help from the Security Corporation, the Area Agency on Aging can serve 26 more seniors who are homebound and 65 years or older.
We're navigating unclear waters, uncharted waters, and we will make it through it because of that community support. Our citizens, our businesses, and our community organizations.
The Economic Security Corporation used CARES Act money to help the Area Agency on Aging serve more people. This may be the most critical year for Fox 14's Feed the Four States. A couple of weeks ago, Crossline's food pantry in Joplin served a record number of people, the most in its 35-year history. Your donation to Feed the Four States tonight will not only just help people the rest of this year, but also the beginning of next year when many eviction protections and other assistance programs for people in need expire.
We are essentially a small grocery store. So, you think, when people come through here, they're getting a grocery cart, they're coming through just like they would at a grocery store. So, we need a large amount of food to be able to meet the need. Just a few weeks ago, we saw.
They call it the power of the dollar. Each dollar donated can provide up to 4 meals for a family in need. Isn't that something? Now is when you can make a direct impact on those local food banks and those people in need during an especially challenging year. Please have your debit or credit card handy and then call 1-888-620-4869. You can make that call anytime during this newscast. There is still time, and we sincerely thank you in advance for your help. A holiday light show, that thing right behind me, of cosmic proportion was on display tonight. The Christmas star was visible in the clear sky by the naked eye. KOAM's Andy Ciatego has a story behind the astronomical occurrence.
You might have heard of the Christmas star during Sunday school.
Scripturally speaking, the Christmas star is found in Matthew chapter 2. It's the star that the wise men saw and got them on their pursuit to follow the baby Jesus, the Christ.
What's been dubbed as the Christmas star is really a planetary conjunction. The two largest planets in our solar system will align in a way that hasn't been seen in centuries and won't happen again in our lifetime.
Planetary conjunctions happen relatively often. What makes this one so special is how incredibly close Jupiter and Saturn are getting. They're going to be, to the naked eye, they will appear as one point of light. And so they will look like one bright star in the sky.
The math that predicted this particular alignment was put together 400 years ago by some of the early astronomers.
Part of what really makes this one special is that it happens to be happening on winter solstice. So it's a really remarkable point of connecting to other parts of astronomy, which is that all of our calendar is based around the movement of the sky.
The Christmas star still plays an important part to this day during the holidays.
Obviously, 2,000 years ago was really important. Today, the message is still the same. God with us. God sent Emmanuel to be with us. So that star is an important reminder that God loves us. God sent his son to die for us.
In southeast Kansas, Andrea Cioteco, KOAM News.
Awesome thing to see. If you didn't get a chance to look at the Christmas star tonight, don't worry. Going to get another chance tomorrow when Jupiter and Saturn will still be extremely close. A bit later, concerns over a new strain of the coronavirus sweeping across southern England. And still have time to make a financial donation to this year's Fox 14 Feed the Four States. Please call 1-888-620-4869 to help our local food banks in need.
Well, first, it turned out to be a pretty good weekend, and then again today was a pretty nice day as we have mostly sunny skies, high temp right around 60, which is about 15 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. Mostly sunny skies, still pretty much clear skies across the region right now. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, we were just talking about the Christmas star, which on the left here, that is Jupiter. Then on the right is Saturn. You have to actually zoom in to actually get them to separate, but you can even see a couple little small moons which rotate around Jupiter. It's a pretty cool sight to see, which again we won't see in our lifetime, at least at this close, which is kind of cool. 37 Fort Scott, 39 in Parsons, 36 in Miami, 44 in Neosho. The winds have been fairly light. We got a light westerly wind, near calm, but they're going to really crank out of the south as we head into the daytime hours for us tomorrow. And that's going to help us warm up even more. 45 is where we stand. Pressure is rising. Humidity is at 58%. We have clear skies. Just a few mid and upper level clouds have been streaming through. But in general, it looks pretty good across the entire Central Plains. If we head out west, you can see from Billings all the way to about Portland, Vancouver, that is the beginnings of our next storm system, which is a fairly weak system, fast-moving storm system that will slide into the Central Plains by the time we head into tomorrow night and Wednesday, and that will change our weather up just a bit as we work really through the rest of the week. For us tonight, we'll drop back into the upper 30s, mid to upper 30s. 37 if you are getting up early, but those south winds are going to be increasing 15 to 25, gusts a little bit higher than that. That's going to help our temperature go to 60 by noon, and then we should top out right around 66 during the afternoon. So Tuesday is going to be great. Clouds increase for us tomorrow night. We could see a few random showers trying to get in very late tomorrow night, 5, 6, 7, 8 a.m. on Wednesday. If we see any showers, they're mainly going to be on the Missouri side, Arkansas side, and then in Oklahoma, so along and south of I-44. As quickly as these showers work in, they're going to work right on out of here and push across central and eastern parts of Missouri. But with it, we get a cold front that is going to drag in, so our temperatures will actually drop into the 40s by the time we head into Wednesday afternoon. And then all the way down into the mid-20s by Christmas Eve morning, and then on Christmas Eve, we shouldn't get out of the 30s for highs. So make sure if you get a chance to get outside and enjoy tomorrow. 66, 53 on Wednesday and dropping. If we look at Christmas Eve, a good night to actually stay in, hang out with the family, 32 by 6, 27 by 8. We'll drop all the way back to about 23 by 10 p.m. So it's not going to be a white Christmas. It's going to be a very cold Christmas, 44 on Christmas Day, but the 50s return just in time for the weekend.
Again, we were so fortunate to get the clear skies tonight to be a part of history, really, and see those stars.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool, isn't it?
Planets. Doug Eddy, thank you so much. Hey, you still have time to help out many families in need. Please call 1-888-620-4869 and make your financial donation and pay for food for local food banks. This year is even more difficult for people in need. And remember, you can also make food donations at any Wesco home furnishing store or directly at a food bank. Another option is visiting our website, KOMNewsNow.com, to make a financial donation. Coming up in sports, the Pittsburgh High School girls looking to stay perfect as they take on Webb City. Plus, Kansas City getting a big W over the Saints yesterday. Going to hear from the team.
The Pittsburgh girls are off to a hot start to the basketball season. The Purple Dragons are 3-0 with wins over Lamar, Nevada, and Parsons. Tonight, Pittsburgh hits the road for another interstate matchup, hitting the floor against Webb City. Sierra Kimbrough, three from the right side. Webb City opens on an 11-4 run. Dragons would get going, though. Jay Minifield knocks down the three. 1 point game after one. To the second now, J.D. Duda on the breakaway. Duda had 13 in the first half. Cards by 7 at the break. A third quarter, Madden Petty heats up. Petty, three from the far side. Then she's scoring and driving and scoring. It's a 1 point game going to the fourth. Now in the fourth, Ella Hendrickson turns and scores. Under 2 minutes left, Pittsburgh still down one. Petty, good from the far corner. Dragons now have a 2 point lead. Final seconds, final chance for Webb City. And that's it. Pittsburgh rallies to get to 4-0. Dragons win this one 42-40. Former Carl Junction standout Katie Scott has been named the Western Athletic Conference Women's Basketball Player of the Week. Scott is a freshman at Grand Canyon University. On 2 games last week, she scored 35 points, including 20 against Eastern Washington. By the way, after this announcement this afternoon, she went out and dropped 34 points and 13 rebounds tonight on Arizona Christian. The Neosho Wildcats have a new head football coach. Neosho announces today that Joplin offensive coordinator Brandon Towdy will take over as the leader of the program. Now, Towdy spent 10 years as an assistant at Joplin High School, including the last 6 as offensive coordinator. Now, as the OC, he led a high-powered Eagles offense that made a run to the Class 6 state championship in 2019, scoring 47 points per game. Now, he'll head to Neosho to try to turn around a program that went 0-10 this fall.
Extremely excited about the opportunity. I've been very fortunate to work under Coach Jasper, and he runs a great program, so I've learned a million things from him, and so I'm excited to kind of take the reins myself and put my own stamp on the program. It was really tough to leave the players. I built those relationships, so it was a lot of thinking with my family and praying about it, but at the end of the day, we couldn't let the opportunity pass us up.
Chiefs rookie running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire suffered a hip and ankle injury on Sunday in the team's win over the Saints. Edwards-Helaire will likely miss the final 2 games of the regular season for Kansas City, but he could return for the postseason. In the meantime, it'll be Le'Veon Bell serving as the Chiefs starter in the backfield.
You've seen him in spurts. He's been getting in, making plays happen when he's in the football game. And obviously we're hoping Clyde gets back quickly. But I think we have good guys in that running back room that will step up and really embrace that role.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Things are going from bad to worse in southern England as a new strain of coronavirus spreads quickly there. Travel bans are in place around the world to stop it from spreading overseas. Keep it that way anyway. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Pelcott has more now from London.
The coronavirus outbreak was already spreading quickly, and now a new strain is making things even worse in southern England. It's a variant doctors haven't seen before, similar to the previous COVID-19, but thought to be up to 70% more transmissible. Coronavirus cases are now spiking in and around London, prompting the government to close most businesses and ban large gatherings through the holidays.
Given the early evidence we have on this new variant of the virus, the potential risk it poses, it is with a very heavy heart, I must tell you, we cannot continue with Christmas as planned.
At least 30 countries responding with new rules or travel bans to and from the UK, including France and Germany, which have also banned cargo shipments for now. There are also a growing number of American lawmakers saying the U.S. should consider new restrictions as well.
It's time for a travel ban from Europe, given what we're seeing with this new strain.
It's not clear how long the restrictions will remain in effect, but for now, they're causing chaos with holiday travelers. Most say they understand the need for new measures to help stop the spread, but some are willing to break the rules to get home for Christmas.
How do I like not being able to fly freely around Europe? I think it's a little bit annoying.
Being alone on Christmas Day is more of a negative than traveling under these circumstances. I would rather take the risk.
British Airways agreed on Monday to test all passengers flying from England to New York City. In London, Greg Palcon, Fox News.
Going to wrap up our nights by checking out this week's list of new movies to watch on DVD, also on demand. Evan Rachel Wood is a young con artist. Robert De Niro battles his grandson. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin runs down a list of new digital and DVD releases.
Most people want to be cajillionaires. That's the dream.
A con artist family drama, a bewitching sequel, a sci-fi action film, and more. Here's a look at what's new in home entertainment.
She learned to forge before she learned to write.
The comedy Cajillionaire stars Deborah Winger, Richard Jenkins, and Evan Rachel Wood as a family trio of scammers whose lives are turned upside down when they invite an outsider to join them on a heist they are planning.
How do you like your room?
Robert De Niro and Oaks Fegley battle it out in the family comedy The War with Grandpa. The film centers around a young boy who will stop at nothing to get his bedroom back from his grandfather.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
The Craft Legacy is a continuation of the 1996 cult hit The Craft. The sequel centers around a group of aspiring teenage witches who get more than they bargained for with their newfound powers.
We get a visitor from a distant galaxy.
Nicolas Cage stars in the sci-fi action film Jiu-Jitsu, about a group of martial artists who band together to take down alien invaders.
No, I won't go quietly.
Available on digital and on demand is the musical drama Yellow Rose. It centers around a Filipina teen who must decide between leaving her small town in Texas to pursue her dream as a country singer or stay with her family.
It'll be better for you.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us and taking part in this year's Feed the Four States Telethon. Going to leave you with Christmas tree decorations in Joplin's Mercy Park. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.